Welcome to Sheriff's Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV7. Join us every week as we talk various aspects of law enforcement and how important it is for the citizens and law enforcement to work together. Now join us for another edition of Sheriff Talk on KWN Live and Local TV Channel 7. And good day. Welcome in to Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV.
Just me and you, ain't it?
It is me and you. You and I guess.
You and I think that's the proper term.
That is. And, of course, you out there that are watching to Sheriff Talk, we thank you for joining us.
Oh, English teacher, Miss Link, would have corrected me if she'd heard me say you and me.
Yeah, I know.
You and I.
You and I. There you go. But how you doing, Sheriff?
Fine. Been busy.
Well, I guess, this time of the year, we're going up to the 4th of July, and we'll talk a little bit about that. That's always a busier time.
Yes. Of course, I don't think it's going to be as busy this year because I just talked to the county mayor this morning. The governor's extended, they've been doing county commission meetings by Zoom.
Right.
That's been extended till August, so we haven't had a live gathering commission meeting. I think since January.
Wow.
Been doing it by Zoom, and of course,
I didn't know what Zoom was.
I never heard of it till
this year.
Of course, I never heard a lot of things till 2 months ago till all this happened.
They'll have to rewrite and add a bunch of new terms in the dictionary in Webster, so it gets growing bigger and bigger and bigger.
I talk to people all the time, and a lot of people are just worried about the way things are changing last month. I was watching news this morning before I come to work, and they're surrounding the city hall in New York. They're going to pass the budget, I think, today, and they're expecting the city mayor to withdraw $1 billion from the police department. And I think that's a thing going. I think there's 19 major cities right now that are going to withdraw funds from the police department to put in other programs.
You've got to. You would think that common sense would have to stop and play a part in all of this, but it's unfortunate. There's some things that I've seen that.
Well, other than that,
rationale,
common sense.
Does
other than that,
I
don't know if you've seen on the news. I watch it all the time because I'm interested in this stuff. But this lady, young lady with her small child, was in the car and ran into a group of protesters. I think it was in Minneapolis, and they surrounded her and was trying to knock her window out. Well, she calls 911, and the 911 operator says, "Well, I ain't got nobody to send." She said, "If you got a complaint, call City Hall Monday." And this girl says, "My car is surrounded." She said, "People are trying to knock my windows out rocks." And she said, "You're telling me to call City Hall Monday?" And she finally got out of it. I think she kept driving and finally got out of it. But I'm sitting there going, are we at that point in society?
Well, the unfortunate thing in some of the cities, I've been kind of like sitting back and wondering how could elected officials let this get out of hand?
It's got out of hand.
And I don't understand how they can do that.
And there's nobody been more critical of the judicial system. It's clumsy and it's slow and it's aggravating. I've been dealing with it for 40 years. I get aggravated too because people sitting, cases are put off, and then you have to do this and do that. But it's better than any system in the world.
That's right. That is right. And
in China, I think if they find you guilty of something like that, instead of having appeals, they just take you out back and
do whatever.
Well,
I think we've the situation that first happened with the officer and the knee on the neck and the death that occurred of that. I have met nobody that has even taken up for the officer. Everybody calls it what it is.
Right.
He died. It was murder.
Right.
But the officer will. I mean, he
gonna
was
pay.
arrested.
Right.
He's going to jail.
He's in jail.
And he will go in front of a jury of his
Right.
peers. How did we get from
There
that tragedy
to here.
to burning down buildings, pulling down statues, knocking out windows, scaring this young lady with a child inside of a car? I don't know how we got from
Well, I was
that
watching.
very much of injustice.
I was watching the news the other night, and they had the lady in Minneapolis that's chairman of the city commission on there, and she was on one of the liberal stations. And the female reporter asked her, said, "Well, let's do suppose I live in Minneapolis, and at 2:00 in the morning somebody knocks my front door in and is trying to rob me." She said, "If you defund the police," she said, "who do I call for help?" And that lady said, "You know what I'd do? I'd just sit down and have a conversation with that person, see if y'all can't straighten it out." And that reporter went, you see her roll her eyes. She's sitting there going, and I said, "That's not common sense. If somebody knocks your front door in at 2:00 in the morning, force like that can only be met with force. I mean, I thought, what's happened to our way of thinking in this country? It's just
Well, it's really it's eye opening. It's for your profession. I mean, you took an oath.
right.
You take an oath every time you get reelected
Right.
to defend and protect.
Right.
And how, some of these politicians, the mayors and the city council folks, they took a similar oath to uphold the laws of the city and the county that they're in.
And the other day in New York, I seen a group out there throwing bottles, and some of the New York police officers rode through, and they was throwing bottles at the troll cars, and they just kept on driving. I'm sitting there going, "You're losing the battle now."
Yeah. Right. It's really, really,
And
really
I've told
sad.
people, when the officer says you're under arrest, and the law says that you can use whatever force to make sure that you put that person under arrest. But I mean, if we get to the point, if somebody says, "Well, I'm not going," and the officer said, "Well, if I'm going to fight you and get in trouble, just forget about it." But if you start doing that, then you're going to lose you're not going to have law and order.
And obviously we don't.
We
in
don't.
some areas
We
already in the country that we call our own, which I've seen things on television that, third world countries don't look like that.
Yeah, that's true.
In some of the things that I've
That's
seen
true.
from them, and it's very, very, it's saddening. It's
It is.
disheartening.
It is.
And I didn't. Here in Georgia, we have a law where it's illegal to do something to a statue, tear it down, deface it, or anything. That's all monuments. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're the Confederate or any kind of monument. It's illegal to do something to them. And I was talking to our state senator who authored the bill a few years back, because there's a couple of cities in the state of Georgia that's wanting to take down some of the monuments or letting them deface some of the
I
monuments.
think Dalton's one of them, isn't it?
That they were talking about it. I think they've since figured out that it's against the law, and some cities didn't know that or didn't have the information in hand. But he said it's coming down to the fact that these local officials, they have to enforce that law. You can have a law on the books, but if you don't enforce it,
You're derelict in your duty.
I mean, on a federal level, of course, President Trump has come in and protected all the federal monuments, and up to 10 years in jail, the executive order, and that's brought some of the looting or desecration of our monuments. It's getting a little better, but I don't understand. I mean, I really don't. When you've let this spawn out of control from a terrible tragedy and a terrible dereliction of duty, in my opinion, from that police officer and the other officers that let them have it. I mean, that let that happen. 30 seconds of it, a minute of it, some of them other officers should have got involved.
that one standing there,
Yeah.
I think in his mind he knew it was going too far, but he was a 6-month rookie,
right?
And there was an 18-year veteran. I'm sure. I've watched it over and over, and you can see he's kind of looking, and I think probably in the back of his mind he's thinking he may be going too far, but he just didn't say anything. I'm sure he's wishing a million times now he had, but It's too late now. Too late.
Well, absolutely, it's too late for that gentleman and the gentleman's family.
I want my officers, and I've talked, I don't want my officers abusing nobody.
No, I mean,
and I expect other officers that work for me, if they see one of my officers abusing somebody, stop it. Then if there's a problem, come and see me about it. But you better stop it.
Well,
I mean, I started back in the late '70s, and I'll be honest with you, back then a lot of things happened that I just you can't do nowadays, and you just have to adjust to it. But I mean, there was some abuse went on, sure, back through the years. But I think you're seeing a change in police officers. They understand that.
But on the other hand, and we got a break coming up here in a minute. But on the other hand, you and I both, years ago, for myself, and you probably on a daily and at least a weekly basis, there is individuals that your officers come in contact with that are criminals, that are violent, and they're violent to the officers.
Right.
They don't want to go to jail,
right.
And they're a harm to society and
right.
to themselves and the act of
and
a crime.
I
mean, you like you said, the law gives them the authority to.
We deal with a whole lot more mentally ill people now than we did 10 years ago. A lot of these people are violent, and it's just because they've got a mental illness, and they're, and I'm afraid that a lot of these large cities are going to start, because I think they won't take some of this money and make a person a civilian police officer or whatever they call them, and then they will go out and handle people that are alcoholics or people that are on the street or mentally ill. And to me, that's going to get somebody hurt bad, because you take a social worker and send them to a house. I mean, a lot of people we have barricaded in the house stuff usually end up in a mental institution somewhere, because that's just not a rational thing that you should do. Is threaten to kill your mom and daddy, and when the police shows up, barricade yourself in the house, start shooting. I mean, that's usually,
and the unfortunate thing that happens, Sheriff.
It does happens a lot.
Yeah,
it happens. No telling how many times across the nation every day it happens. We're seeing more of it at the sheriff's department about SWAT teams having to be called out and things like that. And fortunately, I'm very, very, very fortunate nobody's got hurt or anything. But we've had a SWAT team for a few years, and the first couple of years never did use them much. But here lately, we've had to use them more and more. So.
Well, it's definitely in today's society, and I really fear. I think we live in a great area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we really do. Let's take this break. We'll talk more.
Okay.
Stay with us. More Sheriff Talk is on the way right after this.
I'm hungry and leave satisfied at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon. Cloud's Pizza uses only the freshest ingredients, and we hand toss our own pizza dough. Our pizzas are made from scratch when you order, so they're always fresh. And don't forget about our famous Sand Mountain cheese sticks. You can eat from the daily buffet or try a mouth-watering hamburger or cheeseburger. Come see your friends at Cloud's Pizza, Highway 71 in Higdon, and never leave hungry. Call ahead at 597-3100 for Cloud's Pizza. Visit us on Facebook at Cloud's Pizza and more.
Come see us at Cloud's Pizza.
Personal injury law, court procedure, insurance law, and medicine are all very complicated and always changing. You should be suspicious of any firm depending on staff, paralegals, or even young attorneys, instead of their most experienced trial lawyers, to research, understand, and make decisions about how best to manage your injury case. At the Bandy firm, trial lawyers Sean Richardson and Marshall Bandy, with over 65 years of combined trial experience, will always be personally involved in the research and decision-making in every aspect of your case. Sean Richardson and Marshall Bandy of the Bandy firm will be with you every step of the way. If you have been injured due to the negligence of another, Call the Bandy Firm today. They'll be with you every step of the way. The Bandy Firm, 706-935-STEP, or on the web at bandylaw.com. The Bandy Firm, every step of the way. 706-935-STEP, 706-935-7837. Gigabit Internet residential service is now available to customers of the North Alabama Electric Co-op with NAEC Fiber in Jackson and Marshall County. Residential gig service is now available for only $79.95. Call today to have your gig service installed at 256-437-5000. High-speed fiber residential gig internet service now available to customers of the North Alabama Electric Co-op with NAEC Fiber. Business and commercial customers can get gig service too. Call for pricing 256-437-5000. Gig service from North Alabama Electric Co-op. 256-437-5000. Landers McLarty Ford, Fort Payne is your one stop to visit in Fort Payne, Alabama if you're looking for deals. Right now, enjoy 0% APR for 84 months plus defer 3 payments on the 2019 Ford F-150 XLT. Or choose the 2020 model F-150 with 0% for 72 months plus defer 3 payments. Or the 2020 Ford Ranger with several in stock, 0% APR for 72 months plus defer 3 payments. See dealer for details and additional fees. Landers McLarty Ford, 1916 Glen Boulevard, Southwest, Fort Payne, Alabama.
Back to Sheriff Talk here on KWN TV. Sheriff Bo Burnett from Marion County. As we continue with our discussion.
Talking about mask.
The governor of the state of Georgia, he says he's not going to require anybody to wear a mask, but he's going to do a wear your mask tour. He's going to fly to all of the major cities, Dalton be their closest, to do a promotion for this coming 4th of July weekend, encouraging anybody that's going to be out and doing anything in public to wear a mask.
I carry one in my car.
I've got one on my desk.
I don't have it
over
with
there.
me now, but I'm trying to stay my distance from you.
It don't look like it, but we're a fur distance apart from television.
If I get out and go into a store, I wear my mask. I went to church Sunday and I felt bad. Me and my uncle was there, and we was on 2 with masks on, and I wish every people would wear them, but nobody wasn't wearing them. But I that's their right, I guess, because I don't think you have the right to make people. I think if you own a business, that you have the right to, you can not let people come in if that's your personal property.
Costco, for instance, says you've got to wear a mask if you come in to shop.
That's their property, their store, and they can make the rules.
I don't have a bit of problem with that.
If you don't want to do that, then don't go in their store.
I don't have I think we should be very diligent on the mask wearing, and if we're in an area close proximity, a store. I've seen in the last week there's more and more people wearing masks.
Oh yeah.
now.
I think you fix the big increase next couple of weeks.
I saw earlier today where the Hamilton County mayor is encouraging also folks to.
I would encourage everybody. Like
wear
I said,
a mask.
Don't want you to think I'm telling you to do that, or asking you to do that, then sitting here and not doing it myself. But I got one in the car. Like I said, you and I are trying to stay our distance away, and even after the show when we walk there and talk, we're keeping a 6-foot distance.
Well, I've said since the beginning, I don't like the terminology social distancing, because you and I can be social whether you're sitting across the room or not. We're carrying on a great conversation. It's physical distancing, not social distancing.
Right.
I said there must have been a millennial come up with that or something, because it's really physical distancing. Stay 6 feet apart.
I think we need more testing. I'd like to get tested. I'd like for my employees to get tested. But
in Georgia, I will have to say here locally, you're welcome, because they don't check. It's for anybody. They have every day now, Monday through Thursday. You can go just drive up down here at the local health department, and they test you. And you drive up, they get your information, they test you. It's free, and in 2 days or so, 2 or 3 days, you'll get your results. Yeah. And they're doing that all over the state. And you don't have to.
We're not. We had a couple of events, but as of right now, I don't know of anything in the Tennessee area. I think Hamilton County's doing it some, but we're not. State contacted me 3 or 4 weeks ago, wanting to do all the inmates and the employees, and I said, sure, we'd be glad to. Then the let's see, district manager shot it down, so they didn't do it. But I was willing to. I mean, I'd like to get tested. I want to know. I mean, I know what the symptoms are, so I've kept up with them. I haven't had a fever. I have a temperature thing at home. We have one there at the sheriff's department. We check your temperature. We do have regulations. If you're trying to come in Justice Center and your temperature is 100 and above, you're turned away.
Yeah.
That's just that's the guidelines the CDC's put out. So we go with those guidelines. But
Well, I said this morning, back in March, early March, late February, they told us to, if you're sick, stay at home, stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask in public, wash your hands frequently. And 5 months later, guess what? If you're sick, stay at home, wear a mask. Out in public.
And things change.
They haven't changed any of the simple guidelines.
But I don't think that the public's going to agree to another shutdown.
I don't either. I mean, I think that would be, in other words, it'd be extremely hard on businesses to even experience that.
But
again.
they've already incorporated some in Florida and Texas.
Some of the bars.
And
I heard one of the states now doing restaurants again.
I don't have to worry about bars. I'm not going to be in a bar, so I mean, nothing. And I don't care who goes to a bar. That's your own person. But I mean, I'm not. I can see. I think the research already showed that. What was their last Memorial Day? Mm-hmm. A lot of the bar stuff.
And the beaches and bars were full. And they're. I don't know how they can do this, but they're contributing the recent surge from all of that.
Yes.
People going out. And a lot of it's because the age of the people that are coming back positive are younger, like 18 to 34.
But what the guy that's the president's head man says, what the younger people are doing, is they're spreading it to the grandma, Uncle Joe, aunt, maybe a relative that's got heart problems or lung problems, and if we get that, and
right.
I don't think the young people are getting sick as much as they're spreading the virus. My understanding.
Yeah, and a lot of them are not showing any symptoms.
No symptoms.
I was looking on our website, or the state of Georgia's website, the Department of Health, and they've got it broke down in each county. As of this morning, and this is Tuesday, there've been 65 cases
in Dade County
since the beginning. We've had one death,
right,
and that was pretty early on. And we've only, out of those 65, according to the statistics, only 3 people have been hospitalized.
Well,
total.
I don't think they put all the facts in there. I think I seen the paper yesterday. See, another thing they did, state used to would send us an update almost every 3 or 4 days on, who had it, where they lived, so we would have that information. They cut that out about 3 weeks ago. But I think a lot of cases are they say 57, but I think there's only about 4 or 5 of them that's really active.
Right.
The other 50-something people have already gone through the 14-day quarantine.
Right. And a lot of those are back to work.
Back to work. I know a guy that lives in Jasper that worked at the post office, and he went and got tested and positive. He went home 14 days, but he never had no symptoms. Went home, spent 14 days in the bedroom, made the wife and kids stay in one other part of the house. When his 14 days up, he went back to work. So,
right.
That's what I said. I think those figures may be a little bit misleading.
Well, they are misleading. I feel like they're misleading because, we 65 cases. Tomorrow we may have 66, and those numbers never will go down, right, because we've always. But it's been since February,
right? Late
February.
I'm more interested in the people that are actively have it,
right?
Not the people that's already had it back in March or April and went home 14 days, which were the CDC guidelines, 14-day quarantine. Then you can go back out in society.
Well, they're finding out, it's contagious, but there's not as many hospitalizations that they once feared. Now, anybody going to the hospital, obviously, with it is not good. So, I mean,
but we're seeing an increase, in 3/4 of the nation right now. We're seeing an increase and we're starting to see a little bit of increase in people in ICUs.
Right.
I think Houston is actually fixing to open up their where they play football there. I think they're fixing to open that up. You know, they had it for a extra beds for this, and I think they're fixing to open that back up just because the rate's gone up so much.
Really? Mm-mm-mm. Well, we started, we were talking about, we really got two things that are confronting our nation: the pandemic and then the unrest that's going on and, taking over city blocks of cities and things of that nature. And one of the things that I'm afraid of, not here really, because I think we live in a great area. Most people go by common sense.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said many times, they were raised right.
Yeah, they were.
And I think we were raised right as a whole, here in this region. But I'm afraid we're getting to the point in this nation that we forgot that law enforcement is there to protect us. A lot of people want to talk about, well, government don't need in my business. Well, there's things in government. We need government because of fire protection, law enforcement, emergency medical services, roads, because I can't do them on my own.
No.
If
you didn't have government build roads, we never would go. We'd be. I don't know what we'd do.
Right. So you've got to have that fundamental foundation of government. Now, we can argue or discuss, I won't say argue, we can discuss, how much money goes into each pot to take care of that. But those fundamental foundation, infrastructure, sewer systems, and, all of that stuff, we can't do that on our own.
Well, you don't think about sewer systems till you talk to your grandmother, great grandmother. They talk about the old outhouse they had to go to.
I'm not that old that I can't remember going to one.
When I was real young, I stayed with my great grandmother, and she had one, and they always put it down the bottom of the hill. But and my mother used to say, it was terrible. I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's 10 degrees out there, and you had to run from the house to the outhouse.
What was that song, Ode to the Little Brown Shack out back?
I know we're getting away from it, but it all linked together.
Oh.
Government has put in sewer systems and septic tanks, so we have luxury of not having to live that kind of life.
And the protection to me is the fundamental, and I don't want any police officer, I don't want anybody, any fireman, police officer, anybody that goes to work as a public servant. We all know they don't get paid enough.
Right.
Gosh, we've got football stars that are billionaire, or not billionaires, but millionaires. And, and our police officers on the front lines that protect us, and even our soldiers. Now, we can't afford to pay them what they're worth, in my opinion.
Right.
Because there again, we just don't have the money. But I'm really thinking that it's not good for our country to start thinking that police officers are not one of the elite. Mm-hmm. And I think they are. In my opinion, it's the elite because, are they bad? Absolutely. There's bad police officers like there's bad preachers.
Bad politicians.
There's bad politicians and preachers and politicians and police officers and firemen and doctors. There's bad in every profession. And it's up to folks like you and authority. And I know over the years you've gotten rid of officers that just wasn't meant to be a police officer.
Yeah, you got officers now. If you got an officer now that's short-tempered, you better get rid of him. And you'll know. I know in big departments it's probably not as easy to keep up with as a smaller department, but just to be honest with you, other officers know. I don't want to go on call and so go. You can't get mad and blow up at everything somebody says to you, especially somebody's intoxicated. They're going to say things that, I'm going to shoot your dog, I'm going to burn your house, You just got to let that go. If you can't take that criticism now, you need to get out of the profession.
Yeah.
Because it's, 30, 25 years ago, if you said that, it wouldn't have turned out pleasant, but those days are over with, so. You got to be more tolerant than you were 20 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Well, it's and
everybody, if we treat everybody the way we want to be treated, we wouldn't really have
Right.
any of that. And I do understand. I mean, you an officer comes in contact with folks that are they're outraged of a situation, so they may retaliate to the officer. I've seen situations where an officer gets to a scene and they're fighting, and they don't really know who all they're fighting, and they end up fighting the officer. But once they realize they're fighting the officer, they stop. But they may be in a confrontation.
We're fortunate that police only deal with probably 7-8% of the population.
Right.
If we had trouble about 50% of the population, we'd be overwhelmed. I mean, you can go through the arrest records. I mean, 90% of the people that we deal with, we have to deal with on a regular basis. So and so was into it with his neighbor. Well, it just goes on and on and on. And you go out there and you try to referee it and explain their legal rights and everything. And then next week they're into it again. It's usually we get more over property lines than anything, and people don't understand that. We don't have authority to determine whose property line is where. That's the reason you get it surveyed and then go to court and let the courts decide. But we have a lot of property line disputes. People put a fence up and so says fence on their property line, and we got to go out there and all we got to do is keep the peace.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that's technically a civil
matter.
Piece. Even though if they got a judge's order, this is where the property line's at, and they've already been to court, and they start arguing. Now the police officer can break up the argument, but it's a civil.
Right.
If you still got problems, you got to go back to court.
Yeah, that's what you tell people. If you go to a boundary line dispute and judge has made an order and this person's not following this order, we can't arrest them on that. They've got to file a motion with their attorney with the court and have this person back in court and let the judge deal with it. Right. Same way with you get a lot of this on visitation. It's not as bad lately as it used to. On Fridays, the courts had a lot of the parents that couldn't get along swap out in front of the Justice Center. Well, on Friday afternoon, I had an officer sitting in there doing reports. I want so-and-so arrested. He's supposed to have kids here at 6, and he got here at 15 after. Well, we can do your report, give it to you, but it's your responsibility to contact your attorney and then have that person brought back to court and let the judge deal with it in court, because it's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. But
yeah, and I hear that.
How do you you just got to referee those things and try to calm everybody down and make them. But when you say, well, you got to see your lawyer, well, that really makes them mad. I've already paid him $20,000. And I said, well, that's just the way it is.
And you're exactly right. I mean, the paperwork from the judge may say this, but there again, it's a civil order from the judge, and he's the one that gets to enforce his order.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they've got to go back and forth. Now, he may put that person in jail for a couple days for not following his order, and then he may call you and say, incarcerate this guy for 2 days or whatever. Right. But it's got to be the judge that makes that decision.
That's true.
Because it boils down to it's his order. I think you're right. A lot of folks in the heat of what's going on, they forget the fact it is a civil. It's not a criminal piece of paper. It's not a criminal law. It's a civil law that,
I remember we had a shootout in Whitwell here about 10 years ago. A man and his brother-in-law got into it over a boundary line. I think it was like a strip about 2 foot wide, 50 yards long, and ruined a whole bunch of lives, whole families over something. I probably said, here, you can have it so you can have to mow it. But we get a lot of those boundary line disputes. The surveyor put the surveyor stakes up, and the other person don't agree with it and pulls them up. And then they call the law, and then we do tell them don't pull the survey stakes up. Have it surveyed yourself, and then if it's disagreement, then you got to go to court. But
that I smiled when you were talking about the boundary lines. Of course, Georgia and Tennessee's been at the Tennessee line and Georgia line.
Of course, there's plentiful rain we've had the last couple of years kind of
Yeah,
made that go. But actually, back when that was really heated, I got a subpoena from state of Tennessee district attorney's office that was going to try that, and I thought, why they subpoenaing me? I reckon they want me to
well, it's in your county.
in my county.
But it is. I mean, disrupting. Yeah, it was over 200 years ago. We're talking about the boundary with Georgia and
But
Tennessee.
They're saying that 200 years ago, the surveyors made a mistake, and
And I don't think anybody denies that it's a mistake.
Probably.
It should have been on the 35 parallel,
and there's still legal action going on with that.
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I think one of these days it'll go to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And it's the Supreme. I wish the city or the two states would. I mean, obviously Georgia would like to have access to the Tennessee River, to the water.
It's behind
Right there at
Nickajack Dam.
Right. Yeah, right there at
for the railroad.
right New Hope.
yeah.
Right in there.
You can go from that railroad track and walk probably a mile. And
There's
Georgia.
a marker.
Yeah, there is.
And it's got Tennessee, Georgia.
Right.
Matter of fact, just recently, David Carroll took he went back there with a video camera and showed everybody where it was at. He said, I got my big toe in Georgia and my 1 foot in Tennessee and one in Alabama. He stood on that marker.
Right.
But and he showed the Tennessee River. He said, and truth be known, it's probably right out there somewhere.
Well, on the other side of the county, several years ago, we were out. If you go through Trace City, there's a road you turn left after you go through Trace City called Parton Farm Road, and there's about 3 or 4 houses that are in Marion County. The rest of it's in Grundy. Well, we had a body in a car out there back years ago, and I tell this story. I've told it over and over. And Franklin County, Marion County, and Grundy County, we was all there, and we was out in the boondocks. You know, all you could see was trees. And I said, does anybody know really what county we're in? Well, it took us half the night to figure out. We come find out it was in Franklin County. But, I mean, we had no way to know because, it was such a isolated area, wooded area. We couldn't decide, but it was funny. We was all out there. Everybody's trying to figure out what county we was in.
Well, I mean,
it's like you're talking about. It's one of them points that all 3 counties come together: Franklin, Marion, and Grundy.
And a lot of people say, well, what difference does it make? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that district attorney, it could be different, or the local. They've got to investigate that.
Right. Well,
what county is responsible for the trial.
We're all in the same judicial district.
Okay, well, that would be good. It could be different, though.
Could be different. You could go one county over and be another judicial district, and a whole different attorney general staff and everything. So,
another thing that was, it came to really light because there was a shooting at then what used to be Hutchinson Medical Center. It's Memorial's campus now in Fort Oglethorpe. And a lot of people, some people know this, but it is the hospital was built on the Catoosa County, Walker County line. The morgue, the old morgue, was in Walker County.
I remember hearing about that.
The front part, the emergency room and everything is in Catoosa County. Used to have the maternity ward used to be in Walker, and then when they built the new women's center, it was actually in Catoosa. So all the birth records went to Catoosa County because they were now being born in Catoosa, but they had a shooting there, and they had to figure out exactly what part of the hospital the shooting took place, because who was going to investigate it? Was it going to be the Catoosa County Sheriff's Department or Walker County Sheriff's Department? So it does.
Monteagle's probably Monteagle's really worse than anything. It's split up. One side's Grundy and one side's Marion, and then down here is Franklin, and you can walk half a block in Monteagle and be in Grundy County and go the other way a half a block and you're back in Marion County. We ran into that problem out there when the Grundy County deputy was killed about probably 7 or 8 years ago. The guy we was after ended up in Marion County, and I didn't even know. I mean, it was so wild. Everybody's running everywhere. And I didn't realize it was Marion County till it was all over with, and I got a bill for the autopsy. And I thought, what's this for? And come find out, the boy shot himself, before he could take it in custody, and come find out he's in Marion County. But, that was the least of my thoughts that day,
Right.
But it's funny how, you can have them on all three sides of the county.
Right. Well, and here, right
and
here.
Dade County's got Alabama on one side and Tennessee on one side.
Right. I mean, we border, some parts we border Hamilton County, Marion County, Jackson County, and DeKalb County, Walker County. So, I mean, Dade has got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties that we border just in this small little area of 171 square miles. It's not, you got all and that's 2 different states to border and 5 counties. But, and only one of those counties is Georgia. The rest of them are different. Alabama or Tennessee and like that. We're going to take one more break and we'll wrap things up. We'll talk about the 4th of July coming up. We're going to do something a little different, but since you've joined us and we're having this conversation, we'll talk about 4th of July. Stay with us here on Sheriff Talk.
Big Jet Fly. I need somebody get back. Honk a cat. Where you talking about the time I go out? 5, 4, 6, 2, 4. Rolling on the river. Big Jet Flash, it's a gas. Till I reach the highest ground. The Big Jet Fly. WFI.
What are you, chicken? We are Guthrie's Restaurant.
Here at Guthrie's, we're happy to announce that dine-in is once again available. We're following all CDC and state guidelines to bring you dine-in service at all 3 of our Chattanooga area Guthrie's locations. No time to dine in? You can still take advantage of drive-through and take-out orders at our locations in Trenton, Ringgold, and Signal Mountain. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good.
Guthrie's Restaurant in Trenton, Ringgold, and Signal Mountain, and at Guthrie'sChicken.com.
The best chicken finger sauce in the world!
Can you gig it? Oh, yes, you can. We know you've been waiting for a long time, and now Tennessee Valley Net is bringing it to you. Gigabit internet service now available in certain areas of Dade County. Not just fast, super fast internet service now available from Tennessee Valley Net. People are talking, I mean really smiling about gig speed internet available in limited areas from Tennessee Valley Net. Call today at 706-657-4367 or log on at tvn.net and see if gig speed is available where you are. We know you'll gig it from Tennessee Valley Net. Citizens Tri-County Bank, the only community bank Marion Countyans will ever need. At 402 North Cedar Avenue in South Pittsburgh, 4765 Main Street in Jasper, and at 14087 Highway 28 in Whitwell, providing the highest standard of customer services with a personal touch. Our associates can help you with personal loans, personal lines of credit, a variety of mortgage loans, and more. And we offer real-time internet banking too. See us in South Pittsburgh, Jasper, and Whitwell today. Citizens Tri-County Bank, the only community bank Marion Countyans will ever need. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Looking around your home thinking it may be time for a new look? Let Comfort Gallery in Kimball help you make perfect choices for every room in your home. Living room, bedroom, dining room suites from all the major furniture manufacturers. If we don't have what you need in the store, browse our full-color interactive kiosk to find exactly what you need. And don't forget a new mattress set. After all, sleeping well makes everything better. At Comfort Gallery, we offer free delivery and setup, 1-year free layaway, and 6 and 12 months, same as cash. Comfort Gallery, 780 Main Street, 1 mile north of I-24, exit 152A in Kimball, Tennessee.
Welcome back to Sheriff Talk here on KWN-TV. I'm Evan Stone. We're, of course, talking with Marion County Sheriff Bo Barnett. Hope you've enjoyed the conversation.
It's hard to believe it's the 4th already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't seem like the 4th.
This
I guess
whole year
because
has not seemed right.
Well, we haven't had. I noticed I do a lot of walking the track there in Jasper, and I noticed they're starting to play baseball a little bit the last couple of weeks. But they hadn't had any ball or anything this summer. And when I was a kid, that led up to the 4th of July. That was kind of season was over around the 4th, and just don't seem like the 4th anymore. And so people don't get out and celebrate it much anymore. I think you have fireworks, but besides that, you don't. I mean, I used to on 4th of July, we would be down at the ballpark all day. They'd have the greasy pole contest. You remember that? You know, they'd skin the bark off a pole and put it with grease and put a $50 bill at the top of it. You
That was an
remember
incentive to climb that thing. wasn't it?
$50 back then was a lot of money.
Yeah, it was.
But we don't do none of that stuff no more.
Cody don't remember anything like
I
that.
know he's shaking his head in there like I'm crazy. I'm glad I got you here to verify what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You think I was making it up?
Yeah, things have, no Cornbread Festival this year. We haven't had any baseball so far this year. I mean,
Well, I was talking to the Shriners, some people at the Shriners, you know, their big fundraiser is in October, is the circus.
Mhm.
And I was talking to some of them Saturday, and they're probably going to cancel and not have the circus this year. And that's our Shriners. You know, they have the hospital in Cincinnati, and I belong to Shriners out there in Squatchy Valley. But I was talking to some of the guys. You know, they've shut the temple down and hadn't been open since February. And I said, what about the circus? And he said, I don't think we're going to have it. You know, and that's a big fundraiser.
Oh, yeah.
Have it 4 or 5 nights in a row and make a lot of money off of it. But
You know, a lot of people, our unemployment rates just came out this week, and Dade County, we're doing very well. We shot up to 13 like everybody else in the lower teens, but we're down to 5.6 again, the latest ones that come out. So, but you've got so many folks that are still not back to work in the entertainment industry and the movie theaters.
well, the Western Citizen there at the 155 is, it's my understanding, it's for sale. They're not going to open back up. You know.
Oh no.
You know, they had on kind of their main thing was the food bar, and
Right.
I think the owner, somebody told me they talked to the owner and said that he just didn't think it would go good with traditional type where you sit down at the table and the waitress come over and took your order. Everybody, you've been to Western Citizen several times.
Yeah, several times a month sometimes.
But I mean, I love it because I mean they had probably the biggest food bar in the area.
Once or twice a month, we'd love to
But
go
now
there.
y'all got a couple of
Yeah, we got Larry's, and they're open back up. They're open
Are
back
they doing
up.
food bar?
They're built, yeah, they're doing the food bar, but they're built where they've had servers, cafeteria style, where you go up and, chicken fingers and the dressing.
So
and
it ain't like the Western Citizen, you got your own.
Right, no, that's the way Larry's used to be.
Yeah,
but
he's changed.
just here recently, they're designed where the person can be on the other side of the bar, buffet or whatever, and they've got the plastic, and you tell them what you want, then you take another plate and they'll fill it up again. So it's still all you can eat, but they're actually dishing it out for
Instead
folks.
you getting it yourself.
Right. And, you have to use hand sanitizer every time you go up there. And I know there's Forbidden City in Chattanooga, which is a Chinese restaurant there at Hamilton Place, and they're a buffet, and they're doing the same thing. They've got actual people that dip your food for you. And they have to wear gloves.
Evidently, the people on the Western Citizen didn't want to change it and do that. So I thought they could have, moved some things around and do the same thing, but evidently they're just not going to do it because somebody told me it's for sale.
Well, I hate that, and I hope they reconsider, because they had some great food, and it was obvious when you went in there, especially.
It wasn't nothing like that. Go and get that hot cake and go over to that ice cream. You ever use that ice cream machine? Where
I ain't had the carbs like that in a good while, but yeah, I used to. Good. I'm telling you, that was some good stuff. They
would
just
come
take
out
good food.
swirling, all cold. And
Oh yeah.
soft,
Yeah.
but it's good ice cream.
Well, I hope that they can figure out a way to make it work, because it was a great place to go, and a lot of people went there on a destination after church on Sunday, or
Well, we used to have they had 2 big meeting rooms, and
yeah.
I've been to hundreds of meetings there, where everybody had a meeting there because they had and there's nothing left in the county to have meetings at anymore. Rotary Club had meetings there, and this and that one. And we had our 911 meetings there, but now we're having to move to another location to have meetings. So I'm like you. I hope somebody opens it back up.
Yeah, you'll have to figure out when it's your turn to have all the Ray and the other counties
See, I
come
don't know what
together.
we do because we don't have any place that big to hold that many people. I guess we'll just have to go back down to that place in Jackson County. I hate to go down there so much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Plus,
I'm sure you do the fish place.
no, the barbecue place.
Yeah,
Mud Creek.
Mud Creek.
Yeah.
That's right. I got.
They actually, I didn't know
catfish.
that till we first time went down there. They got a room on the right hand side of it that's
Very back towards the.
big
yeah.
enough to handle 50, 60, 70 people. So we may just have to, be nice to sheriff down there and go down there and have it. I hate to drive all the way down there, but
It's good food.
it is.
It really is good food. 4th of July coming up this weekend. Fireworks legal now in all 3 states. Georgia was holdout for years, but
I heard them shooting them last night, 3 or 4 houses down from me.
And there's always on the weekends, especially if it's a holiday, and alcohol sometimes gets involved, and your department has to get out. And I know that Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama Highway Patrol are going to be out patrolling the big roads.
They will.
Yeah, they always have one of the, I don't know if they're scheduling any checkpoints or not, but I would be alert of that.
Well, by law now, to set up a checkpoint, you have to advertise in the paper.
Tennessee they have to do that. Georgia still doesn't have to do it.
When we started police and be sitting there in the highway patrol come in your own roadblock, yeah, and we just go out there and turn the lights on, go check them. But now you got to have safety cones, and then you got to have it's got to be advertised what date, what time, and all this. I guess it's some ruling from the court or something. I don't know how it come about. I always thought it was a good tool because you wouldn't believe the things we've got at roadblocks, but over the years the courts have ruled against it and just about shut it down. You don't hardly see roadblocks anymore like you used to.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them, but it's been good, especially on holidays, that it gets a lot of impaired drivers off the road.
I mean, I've seen stolen pistols recovered, stolen cars. If you're in a good spot, and they always had an extra car set.
You got to, because they'll turn around on you.
If you see him turn around, you go get him. But
That's right.
Those days are over. Well, we do one with the Governor's Highway Safety down at the Alabama-Tennessee line on 72. But I mean, it's more for show than it is anything. You can't do anything from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. I mean, to really have a good roadblock, you got to get out there about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. That's where you're gonna get your good cases.
Folks trying to get home. Well, Sheriff, have a happy 4th.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll.
I think we're supposed to get rain every day this week.
I think so in the afternoon. Typical summertime
I mowed
weather.
half my yard Sunday, and I was going to finish it up yesterday, and then it rained. And I was watching the weather this morning, calling for 80% chance this afternoon, all through to the weekend. I think.
Yeah, y'all got any fireworks shows?
I think Jasper's going to have one Saturday night, and South Pittsburgh usually has one. They'll probably have them Saturday night.
Yeah, there's going to be one in the city of Trenton down by the depot. So there will be some fireworks to get out and to do. We were going to have a fair here, but they postponed it because of the COVID-19. Everybody, thank you for being here and watching another edition of Sheriff Talk, and we'll see you next week.
You've been watching Sheriff Talk, live from the studios of KWN TV7, all around the tri-state area, as we give you information that you can use concerning law enforcement. Join us again next week for another episode of Sheriff Talk, a public affairs program of KWN TV7.